welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and this is a custom video for John. All right, in this video, we're gonna look at John's 5-piece collection. We're only gonna make it to 4 of his pieces. We'll save 1 piece for a whole nother video. Why am I doing that? Well, I'll explain, but let's read John's email. Hi, Austin. Let me start by saying that I absolutely love your videos, and I very much appreciate all the work and effort you put into bringing us awesome watch content. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate that. I'm 30 years old and I've been collecting watches seriously for the past 4 years or so. I started like everyone else with Seiko and Casio, both brands I still love. And I've been fortunate enough to move up in price range to collect some of my grail pieces. All my watches other than the Datejust were purchased at retail, and I have a good relationship at my authorized dealer. Before we get into his watches, let me just say that it's a beautiful collection. It's 5 pieces, but everything is not completely okay with this collection, in my opinion, all right? And you could imagine his collection as a beautiful woman. A woman you would be happy to be with. I mean, she's almost perfect. Beautiful, cool, smart. I mean, just pretty perfect, except for one thing. She insists on keeping the dead body of her previous boyfriend in the basement. Ooh, okay, a little bit of a problem there. Other than that, she's perfect. What do? Do you just forget about that? You don't go to the basement that much anyway, right? Well, we're not going to focus on the horological dead body in the basement in this video, okay? We're going to leave that to another video. In this video, we're just going to focus on the good things, and it's 4 of his 5 pieces, all right? So we're going to start with watch number 2. That's an Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean. I love Omega as a brand, and in my opinion, they offer incredible value for money in their watches. This Planet Ocean is a stunner. The white dial and orange bezel combo is unique, and I love the way it looks. The movement is superb, and it wears really well for a larger watch. I'm a big guy that's in the gym a lot. He's 6'2" and 215 pounds, so it wears fine on my 7.5-inch wrist, and it is a beautiful watch. Love the white dial, the orange bezel, very striking, very usable watch. It's a professional watch. I guess you could call it a dive watch too. And it's got the date. Very attractive watch. And Omega does offer a lot of bang for buck, especially if you buy pre-owned. But if you buy new, then, be careful, because getting out of this watch, you'd probably lose money. But look, it's an Omega, and the rest of the pieces we're looking at today, Rolexes, so 3 Rolexes. It brings brand diversity to the collection. Very attractive watch, so looks good to me. Number 3, Rolex Datejust. This is reference 1603, my first Rolex. I was able to pick this up for $2,000 USD from a jeweler in my area in 2016. No box or papers, so I immediately sent it to RSC, that's the Rolex Service Center, and they serviced the watch for me. I now have the service papers from Rolex, and I don't have to worry about authenticity. It's an amazing watch, and at 36 millimeters, I'm always surprised how well it wears on the wrist. It does not feel small at all. This watch has the most sentimental value for me, and it will never leave the collection, nor should it. It's your first Rolex watch. I love 36 millimeter Datejusts. Has a Jubilee bracelet, so very comfortable. And this brings some vintage into the collection. It's a 4-digit watch, beautiful pipe hand, black dial, acrylic crystal. So it's a great watch. And this is an all steel watch. And one of the interesting things to note is the bezel. This is an engine-turned bezel. And a lot of people say that's kind of a dated look. I love it because it's much more interesting than the smooth bezels, but it's not as girly and feminine and fancy as the fluted bezel. And you got a great price on it, $2,000 USD. They're worth about 4 now. In around 2016 or 17, I too saw a 4-digit Datejust. I think it was a 1601 with the white gold fluted bezel. It was $2K, no box, no papers. I regret not getting it. So that's good that you did. And you do what I usually do when I get a pre-owned piece, take it to RSC, have them check it out. You know everything's all right. You know it's not stolen. Everything's authentic on it. And you've got the service papers now, which are, you know, the second best option versus the real papers. You've got the pouch, and that's the service pouch that we love. And yeah, it's a great piece to have, great starter piece, and not just a starter piece. Hold on a minute. No, it's a great start to your collection, but I wouldn't call this like an entry level piece. No, it's an awesome piece. All right. Number 4, Rolex GMT-Master II. Reference 116710LN. This may be my favorite Rolex of all time. Definitely one of my grail watches. Love everything about it. Purchased in 2018 from an authorized dealer. That's awesome. You got that from an authorized dealer. You know, you got the original receipt, box, papers, unpolished, minty. Great piece to get at an authorized dealer. Absolutely. It's understated enough to fly under the radar, but easy enough to spot if you're a watch guy. Personally, I love the polished center links. It allows me to double this one as my dress watch, since I have absolutely no need or desire for a true dress watch. This one will also never leave the collection, and this is the last of the monocolored bezeled GMT-Master IIs. This is ceramic GMT-Master II, the all black. And yes, the end of an era with the, you know, monocolored bezel inserts and the oyster bracelet. Of course, the oyster bracelet has the polished middle links, and it does bring it up in terms of the situations you can wear it in. I mean, it doesn't look just like a tool watch or sports watch. And so, yeah, this could make for sort of a sporty dress watch. And he paid retail for this. Excellent buying, excellent watch to have in the collection. Probably my favorite piece that he's got in the collection. And very usable date, 24-hour hand, so a GMT function. And it's got the rotating bezel, which you can use to mark times, and you can kind of use it as a timing bezel. It's not going to work as well as a chronograph or sub, okay? Or even the 5-digit GMT-Master IIs with the 120-click bezels. This has the 24-click bezel. So you can kind of get a ballpark of the time when you're marking times, but still, rotating bezel adds functionality, so that's great. Beautiful piece, excellent piece. Number 5, Rolex Sea Dweller Deepsea, James Cameron. The badass big boy. This is right up there with the 116710 LN, that all black ceramic GMT that he's got, as one of my all-time favorite Rolex watches. The dial is in a league of its own. Totally unique and outside the box for Rolex. And he's talking about that gradient dial that I talked about in my last video, which gives you sort of a visual scene of the event it commemorates. And indeed, that dial is amazing. The only gradient dial that Rolex makes, and that watch really is pretty much all about the dial and the size. He says the clasp is particularly great on this watch. It's an engineering masterpiece. Yes, it's thick as hell, but for its size, it wears super comfortable. I find it funny that I can pull this off one day and the 36mm Datejust the next. Just goes to show you that the size of a watch may not be as pivotal as some people make it out to be. This will never leave my collection. Yeah, you know, that's a great point, because I used to be a real numbers guy, 40mm watches or less. And I even made a video talking about the new sub and about it being 41mm, and you know, so much for a new sub for me. I can't do that, you know, 41mm, and then come to find out it's not actually that big. And so, you know, half the time you can't trust the numbers, and numbers are just that. They're just sort of figures that give you a rough idea of how big it is, but really you got to wear a watch to figure out how compatible you are with it. And I think he's absolutely right in that regard. But it's a huge watch, and Along with the dial, the size is really one of the most notable aspects of it. 44 millimeter watch, biggest watch Rolex has ever made, will ever make, probably, unless trends change. And it's a neat watch to have. And he's well, I don't know if he's a bodybuilder, but he goes to the gym, so he's got some muscle on his frame. So this is a great watch for like a big muscular sort of alpha guy. I mean, it's the alpha Rolex. And the thickness would probably dissuade me from wanting to get one or wear one. But look, if I had endless funds, it would be a very collectible watch to have and maybe just put in the safe, because it's the dial and the big size that, you know, if that watch were to be discontinued tomorrow, would make it really collectible. I mean, super collectible overnight. But again, you know, do a lot of people want to wear that watch? It depends on the person, right? But it's certainly an interesting watch, and it's certainly a dive watch, and has got the date, and yeah. And so looking at this 4-piece collection, it's small, it's not too big. I think that's really important. He's not going overboard. Again, there's one piece we're going to talk about later. It's his beater, okay, I'll tell you that much. But he's got, looking at this collection, a GMT function. He's got a couple dive watches in the Omega and the Deepsea. He's got a dress watch in the Datejust. The Datejust brings, like I mentioned, that bit of retro, that bit of vintage, that vintage charm, a range of sizes. He's got a white dialed watch. He's got, well, a gradient blue dialed watch, a couple black dialed watches, all steel watches, all sports, all wearable, 3 rotating bezels. This right here is a fantastic collection. This is really all you need, okay? But we're watch guys, we're addicted. We can't stop at 4 or 5 or whatever. So he says, my question to you is this: where do I go next? All right, and we're gonna save that for another video. But viewers, help him out. Where should he go next? He's got his GMT function watch. He's got a couple of divers. He's got a dress watch. Doesn't have a chronograph. Does he need a chronograph? Perhaps. And while you're commenting, you might want to speculate on this horological dead body that we still need to talk about. Can it be that bad? We'll see. But let me just say that this is an excellent collection so far. We'll talk about in the next 2 videos. We'll talk horological dead bodies. We'll talk about what he should add. Thank you, John, for your custom video request. Guys, comment, like, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.